there working, working. It's been a long time coming, y'all. We paid our dues. We put that work in. We put that work in, working. Welcome to the huddle. Welcome to the huddle. It's been a long time coming. We paid our dues. We put that work in. Each one reach one. Each one teach one. If you are that one, then you got to know you are enough. Enough to get it all right when everything going all wrong. We know that your attention is the most powerful thing that you can pay. So if you're playing me something right now or in the replay, I want to tell you, I give my all to be worthy of your attention. Give a shout out to my executive producer and my wardrobe coordinator. I said, baby, what I'm wearing tonight? She said, umpire, blue and white. Umpire, call the game, Trav. Give a shout out to my homegirl, the greatest co-host in the whole world. Alexa, tell me something good.
We all we got. We all we need.
Come on now. Tonight's word is aberration. Aberration. Ask Alexa to tell me something good. She say, we all we got. We all we need. Alexa, what is the meaning of aberration?
Aberration refers to the act of departing from the normal or usual course. It can also be defined as a disturbance or error in a physical system that causes it to deviate from an expected or desired performance.
It's Black History. It's Black History Month. I asked Alexa to tell me something good, and she say, we all we got, we all we need. And tonight's word is aberration. Aberration means the departure from the path, from the way of what's usual, what's expected, what's normal. When did the aberration happen in Black history? The question is more powerful than the answer. Black history, y'all. I told you, history ain't that old. His story. Well, who is he? I'm talking about my granddaddy and my granddaddies, my daddy. I want to show you how real life history is. Do you know that technology ain't 100 years old yet? Do you know that my granddaddy, the one that I spent most of my life, my granddaddy ain't been dead 10 years, but the one that cultivated me as a grandfather could tell me about in his life when there was no power. Nobody had electricity. So ain't nothing we think old is really old. Everything is new, even me and you. There was a common sense of usual normality, a line, a path that we all came from. Aberration is when you stray off of the path. When was the aberration in this here history that we call black? Didn't happen a long time ago. What's going on, Money Mike? Welcome to the huddle, Money Mike. Aberration. One more time. Alexa, what is the meaning of aberration?
Aberration refers to the departure of an optical system, such as a lens or mirror, from a perfect reproduction of an observed object. It is a property that causes the created image to not be a faithful representation of the object.
A usual, normal way. The truth is so simple that a child understands it. So we tell a child to walk home from school. You go the way that I tell you to walk home from school. And that child get out of school and walk down the street, turn right and keep straight, and they will get straight to their home. And their parents have come up with a time frame of an expectation that their child will follow the path on the way home. They walk down the street, they turn right, and they keep straight, and they will come home. And you do that path every day, every day, every day, and you will surely be home at the expected time. That is the way, that is the normality of coming home from school. But an aberration will happen. An aberration will happen one day that child decides instead of turning right and keep straight, that child will turn left. And that child will be in a path in a direction away from the usual way home. But this child is curious, but it wants to know what happens if I turn left. When that child turns left, that is an aberration. Something that is unusual from the path that is expected in normality. Now that child will experience some things from turning right versus turning left. But in the back of that child's mind, in the midst of the aberration, that child knows how to get back on the path to get home. If the child loses the idea in the direction of the normal path, then that child becomes lost. So let's talk about black history. There was a usual path that we all followed. When I say we, I'm talking about our parents, our grandparents. We all we got. We all we need. Segregation. Desegregation. This happened 60 years ago. My mama turned 63 on her birthday. When she was born, America, her parents, her brothers, her sisters, she's the baby of her family. All her siblings in her family had just begun to get the rights to feel even equal to reside in the same building as white folks. So before that, there was a real understanding of we all we got, we all we need, because we didn't have no other options but each other. That was the path, that was the way, that was the usual. But an aberration came. And somehow and somewhere along the way, we woke up one day and instead of turning inward to each other, we turned outward to each other, and we started to experience things unusual than understanding we all we got, we all we need, and now we are in full-fledged aberration. Have we forgotten the way home? Because no matter what we went through, whether it was work, whether it was school, we all knew how to come back to grandmama's house and have a reunion, have a holiday, have a celebration, have a reminder of we all we got, we all we need. But an aberration has happened. We don't do things in the normal order of usualness of black history. We have turned left when we should have turned right. Now we can't come together to even understand who we are to one another. Aberration. One more time. And for context, I heard this word for the first time in my life an hour ago. Shout out to my brother Winston, a wordsmith. Who puts the word on my scale and I deliver. And I just got the word an hour ago, but it's powerful. We all are children that has gotten old. The purity of a child is innocent. That's why we got to protect children, because they possess a sense of innocence, a natural order, a way. We're introduced to aberrations, things that take us off course, things that make us unusual, uncommon, ungeneral. I'm talking about black history. One of the things that was common was a man, a woman, and their children. That ain't deep. That's just how it worked. That's how it still works. But we're in an aberration that we turn left instead of right. So we don't understand the nucleus of family, love, God. We're in an aberration. Tell a real story of how much I understand how it worked. When I got into the real world and working amongst men, powerful men that had raised families, that were entrepreneurs, that had pride in their name. Man, it was like I got to stick my head behind the curtain to understand something. I started realizing that these pivotal, powerful men in the community, in their lives, who are now retired, some dead and gone. But I realized that a lot of these men couldn't read and write. And me coming out of school as one of the first generations to truly be integrated, to truly understand God darn reading, writing, and arithmetics. I was so amazed at how much these men didn't know but was able to maintain and be respected in this here game. So I had to understand why and how. And one of the most powerful things that I understood was all these men was as real as they reason. All they did was came to work and be a man. And what came from work was that paycheck. They took it home to their woman, and their woman knew what to do and was grateful enough to understand that they had a man that could go out there confidently in the world and do something. But that woman cultivated a life of respect. And there was a value in that man. So that's the foundation. That's the nucleus of who we have always been. But an aberration happened. And it's still men that can't read, can't write. This ain't no downside. This real life. The reading and comprehension levels right now today says that 70% of children can't read on a 6th grade level or above. So still today, the game don't change, the players do. Still today, in modern history, just as much as it was older history, man, it's a lot of our children and us that can't read, write, comprehend, and do mathematics on a competitive level. But the only difference now and then is we've had an aberration of the way and the order to know that every man knew as long as he had a woman that he cared for and cared for him, she would give him the balance that he need to sustain and stand as a man in this here world, because a man is as only real as his reason. So don't you understand when I say, man, we lost our way home? She don't think she need a man, and he don't think he confident enough that he can get him a woman. That's the real aberration. And we done made that normal. We done made that normal. And I know life happens. I know we all go through some things. I know cause and effect is real. Some things don't work out. But don't you ever in your mind become the aberration to think or not know the way home. Just because you ain't found love or got love or balance, don't you tell yourself you don't need it. Because that is the true aberration. We all need love and balance. Enzo, you already know what it is. Keep winning, family. My brother Kamara, and I love you, brother. So we talking about black history, man. History ain't old. Whose story? His. We talking about mine. The most powerful, simplest way to understand aberration is telling your child you walk down the street and you go straight and you will make it home. And one day your child decides to make a turn. That is the aberration. And your child ain't expected to where they supposed to be when they supposed to be, because where they supposed to be is in an order that regular people do when they just come home from school. But your child on this here particular day turned. And you don't know where your child is, but it's off the course of what's necessary, understood to be regular. And we all children that has gotten old. We all know the way. Ain't nobody above the bullshit. Yeah, we all turn. We all make choices, whether they be good or bad or right or wrong. We've made choices that were wrong in the moment, but they taught us what things in life was about. But we was fortunate enough to know how to get back on the right road to go home. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. So goddamn, in Black History Month, y'all, do we even know where we going? We will have arguments today about what is regular, what is normal. A man, a woman, and his children is what a family is. We ain't gonna never make that not regular. And anything other than that is an aberration. Alexa, what is the meaning of aberration?
Aberration refers to the act of departing from the normal or usual course of things. It can also be defined as a disorder or illness caused by an external influence. In astronomy, aberration is the apparent displacement of a celestial object due to the movement of the Earth through space.
Can we please just get back to being normal? If you're listening to my voice right now, listen to this. This ain't deep. If you was born a male, you're a man and a woman's son. If you were born a male, you're a man and a woman's son. And every day you rise, you do what a son do. What do a son do? When the sun rises, it comes up and it gives rays down to Mother Earth and everything that we know to be her children. It gives them the energy that it needs to sustain, to grow and live. And in the absence of the sun, things die. In the absence of the energy, things die. Things become cloudy. Things become weary. Things become cold. Right now we're in the winter season. The sun is at its furthest away. Things are dead. Things are weary. It is cold. So we as a son rise up every day to do what a son do. That's to give energy to a mother and her children. And the energy may be the things that she need to survive. So if that ain't what regular to a man, if we make being a man anything outside of the regular goddamn order of what a son do, because if you was born a male, you a son too, then we're in a total aberration. We're in a total displacement. We're in a total displacement. We're making everything regular that ain't got nothing to do with regular. If you ain't going to be regular, then be extraordinary. And if you ain't going to be extraordinary, then don't you go the other goddamn way, because you finna be an aberration. You finna be something or somebody that gets somebody off track. You finna be that person that's finna tell that little child, don't you go straight home, you turn left. And you're gonna have that child mama worried about where my child is, because my child has strict directions in order to come straight home. My child didn't come straight home. I don't know where my child is. Don't be the aberration to someone's order and what's regular to them. We argue about things that we don't understand. Alexa, what is the meaning of conserve?
The word conserve is used as a verb and means to prevent the injury, decay, wastage, or loss of something. It is also used as a noun, and that definition is a preserve, which is a mixture of several fruits, cooked to a jam-like consistency, with sugar and sometimes garnished with nuts and raisins.
Conserve means to protect, to prevent from decaying, to prevent from becoming weak, to preserve, to keep hold. So we get our emotions so tied up in things that we don't understand. I can have a conversation with a group of men to say that I'm a conservative. And they will only have a connotation of hearing the word conservative in association with Republicans and Donald Trump, that they will begin to get in their emotions and say, how dare you be a conservative? I ain't no goddamn conservative. And I say, man, I'm just trying to preserve and conserve from it getting weak. The goddamn institution of real family love in God. That's a man, a woman, and his children. I believe that that's just a regular way of life that will always be. So how dare you associate me with something other than the truth and the way and the light? Alexa, what is the opposite of conserve?
The opposite of conserve is hurt or neglect. Let go is another antonym of conserve, meaning to abandon or release.
So if you ain't a conservative, then you okay with letting go, neglecting the family, a goddamn structure of a man, a woman, and a children, and you against every motherfucking aberration that says that that child needs his mother and father to be in a unity, to truly grow and understand, to understand that a man is a son, and a son do what a son do. He rises up out of the roots of everything that he is to keep life going forward. That is the way, that is what's being regular. And if you are against the regular evolution of God and love, then don't you understand you are the aberration that has brought us a long way, but far from the right way. I'm preaching tonight, man. I've been talking this here black talk for 20 years, 20 whole years. And I'm talking about with the best of them, through every stage that comes with this, from religion, politics, metaphysics, science, mathematics, on every branch. There's always been one common factor. We always blamed it on the system. We always blamed it on the white man. We always blamed it on the government. And we're in a time where change happens when change is necessary. In every sector and arm that we have felt that has hindered us, we're watching it get shook by the roots upside down, and we're the main ones protecting it and crying out, leave it alone. I don't care if they've been stealing and fucking us up and being a bereavement and being an aberration that's getting us from out of order, to understanding that it's about the unity between a man and his woman, to protect and convert, to conserve the cultivation of his children and their children. Now we want to be the main ones that cry to say, no, 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 no. Don't you shake the tree that's been blocking the sun. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Man, let me tell y'all something, man. Shout out to my brother Javon Clark. I got on this live today, man, with some real brothers. And we was able to talk, man. I'm talking about talk, man. This is how I talk in real life. Right now it's up to 10,000 views, man. Just some brothers talking real. Talking about really how we feel. We were talking about the dope game, the influence of the dope game. I'm talking about what the American government did to its people when they brought in that cocaine. Man, the game don't change, the players do. The ball has always been us, y'all. Understand the game, man, and understand the order, man. Like I told you, man, my granddaddy was born, one was born in 1920 and the other one was born in 1928. Ain't nobody have power, at least until around 50. And that was in the big cities. People down in the rural countries ain't get power well into the 60s. And ain't nobody get a TV to the beginning, early parts of the 70s, so a TV ain't even that old. Ain't none of this shit old. Everything is new. Even me and you. We ain't who our grandparents was. This evolution. My grandma had 9 kids, still worked, still was strong, still held on. A woman today can't fathom 9 kids and still be looked at as being regular. So we ain't the same no more as them people. We something new. And we are aberration. I don't think we understand the usual, normal way that got us here. We'll fight for any goddamn thing that go against the regular way home. We'll fight for anything that stop our babies from coming home the right way. We don't conserve shit. A man raised his son to be a man, to be a better man. A woman raised her daughter to be a woman, to be a better woman. A man raises his daughter to show his daughter what to expect of a man. A woman raised her son to show his son what to expect of a woman. Ideally, the greatest example will be that child, daughter and son, watching their father be the example to their mother, and watching their mother be the example to their father. And as deep as that sound, let me help y'all understand, not so long ago, every black person that you know had that reference. They understood to see it on the way home in their home. But somewhere along the way, we turned left. We turned left. And it's children that'll never ever see that in their life. And I ain't saying that to say that the mama wrong. I ain't saying that to say that the daddy wrong. I'm saying that that's a mama and a daddy that fucked and made a baby and they ain't never know the way home. See, God is love and love is life. This ain't deep. This ain't nothing you can find in a book. This something you can go find if you stand in the mirror and look. A husband and his wife make love. That love creates life. It's a whole lot of hurt, man. It's a whole lot of people that can go look in that mirror and ask the question, am I love? Or am I a fuck? Boy, that's a hell of a truth. Am I love or am I a fuck? And if I got to tell the truth and understand the truth, then we all know that sometimes, man, we can become the victim in situations where we got to deal with a fuck nigga. Talking black history, what's a fuck nigga? Nigga that ain't never saw love, a nigga that don't know love, and a nigga that don't expect love or give love. Everywhere he go, he trying to fuck some love up. He almost despise and hate love coming inward or outward from another person. He becomes the aberration. He becomes the Antichrist. Because if you just wake up every day and be regular, this ain't deep. Just wake up every day with the right intentions. What's your intentions? To provide, protect, honor my family, who all depend on me. Try to make the best decisions I can to get back home in the most regular way. That's on its purest level. That's every day. We all wake up and do the same thing in the same game, working to survive and to maintain. And if you be disciplined to that play, man, like they say, man, God is good. Jesus is good. Christ be upon you. But when that aberration comes, that temptation, that frustration, humiliation, aggravation. See, all these things get embodied by people. Take you off course. Make you not follow the regular path. Have you somewhere you don't know where you at. And in most cases, you think they love you. You'll fight the people that care for you when they tell you that motherfucker ain't no good for you. That motherfucker ain't right. Watch that person. Check that person. You be the main one. Nah. You looking at it wrong. That ain't what's happening. Black history. We suffer because we look for love in all the wrong places. I told you we all we got, we all we need. That's what regular black folk understood. Integration happened, we scattered. We started thinking that the love was on the outside more than it was on the inside. We got deluded so much that we don't even understand who we is no more. We every goddamn thing. We Masons, we Muslims, we Qs, we AKAs, we Democrats, we Republicans, we veterans, we everything. We everything so much. We even Indians. Some of us Africans, some of us ain't never came from Africa. We don't want to be something, or we every goddamn thing that separates us. It becomes the aberration. Ain't nobody just a regular black folk. I'm talking about, I know brothers, man, that don't even know their daddy or don't even know their grandparents on the other side, but they will argue me up and down about what they is or what they ain't in ideology. Everything can roll in and be an aberration for us, man. Something that knock us off course from being regular. And if you really understand the truth of what being regular is about, that's deeper than being black. That's being a man. I don't give a damn what race you is. If you on the other team and you ain't on my team and you against me, then it's all good, because I understand you against me because we want the same thing. We want the same ball. And if you got the ball in this here game that we playing and you ain't on my team, then I hate to tell you this, give me that motherfucking ball. And I'm for real, I mean it. Give me that ball. It's my ball now. And if you feel anything other different than that in this here game with the same ball that keeps us regular players in this here game, then all I can tell you is take it back if it's yours. But I'm finna get this ball and I'm finna run it. And I hope they trained you to tackle me, because my people that care about me been training me to run up your chest. And it ain't about to be no aberration that comes in my mind in this here game that make me think or anything or know anything other than you are in this game for one reason and one reason only, to be my opposition. And if that changed, then we ain't playing the game no more. So as a man who rise every day like a son to do what a son do, whether you white, black, Asian, Indian, Mexican, I don't care what you is. The universal truth in the order is you got to be what you is, because your energy and your rays is dependent upon by Mother Earth and her children. My Mother Earth, my children. See how that work? See how that work? So that's the order. That's what a regular man is. Understand that. That ain't deep. That's just what a regular man does. And I saw with my own eyes powerful black men that couldn't read that good, that couldn't write that good, that couldn't even talk to them white folk that good. But they had the confidence to come to work and do a job and do it as best as they could, because they was getting paid to do it. And they took that their paycheck, and they took that paycheck home to their wives, and it was inadequate enough or adequate enough that their wives had enough money to pay them their bills, buy some of their groceries, buy the things that the kids need, and build a hell of a life, man, in a time where they was proud that they had a man that got up and went to work. And a lot of these men who were older, they would come to work with lunch boxes that was filled with love and respect. And there was a universal truth in all of us, the white, the black. There was a universal truth. We was there for the same reason, the same core. The same core. And that's been 26 years ago. And I ain't worked with one woman. We had all men. They had shared a common core. 26 years later, in the break room, that core ain't the common core. Been an aberration. Black history, I'm going to get out of here on this here story. Aberration, man. Want to give a shout out to my Uncle Lee Dixon. He died before I was born. But I want to bring him back to life tonight, man. Part of Aberration, what was regular? This was my grandma's brother, my grandma Viola Dixon. Married my granddad Forte, Viola Forte Dixon. Her brother Lee, her big brother. He owned a lot of land. He was that one in the family from a matriarch generation. He died before 1979. I would say he was born somewhere between the latter 20s or the early 30s. But my Uncle Lee owned land in Waysboro, Charlotte. He owned houses in Charlotte. He owned land in Belmont and several other places. But when he died, he left the land in his will to his siblings. At the time, he had a brother named Hoobie Dixon. That was my grandma's other brother. He had a brother named Willie Dixon. That was my grandma's older brother, Uncle Willie. Talking about Black history, y'all. There was my grandma's younger sister, Aunt Adame, Aunt Irene, and my grandmama. He left his estate, his land, his houses to his siblings. His oldest brother, Uncle Hoobie, was the head of the estate. He paid all the taxes on all the lands. So one day I was sitting here talking to my granddaddy a couple of years back before he died, and he was telling me about how his brother-in-law Lee owned all this land, and he owned about 15 acres up in Belmont, Gastonia. He said, yeah, me and Hoobie made a deal since that piece of land was close to me that I would pay the taxes and I would keep the land surveyed and I would always stay up on the land, and one day when we all decided to sell, we would split the money. So my granddad told me a story about how even though it was gifted to the family through his brother-in-law as my grandmother's husband, he took charge and leadership to do what a man's supposed to do about the land in representation of her. So he said, yeah, I paid all the taxes on the land. He said, but Trav, Uncle Hoobie died. Uncle Willie died. No, Uncle Willie died first. He said, then Uncle Hoobie died. He said, but all I could do was keep on running the play, Trav. All I know to do was keep on paying the taxes on the land. He said, that's what I had been doing for all of these years. He said, so Uncle Hoobie died, he left it to his son, Clarence Jr. Uncle Hoobie had one son, it was Clarence Jr. So Clarence Jr. came to my granddaddy and he said, Uncle Ben, my daddy had some land up in Belmont, Gastonia area. Can you take me and show me where my land at? And Clarence Jr. hadn't really understood the history and the conversation between these men about this here land. So my granddad felt disrespected that a child who don't really understand the history behind what's been going on and the commitment between three brothers in a family, he said, hold on now, I don't know nothing about your land. He said, but I've been paying the taxes and I don't know if this your land. We need to have a conversation now. And Clarence Jr. say, well, I don't know nothing about what you talking about. My daddy left this in his will to say it's my land. So that's all I know. I got some land in Belmont in Gastonia area. So they kind of got in a little heated conversation, and my granddaddy say, well, if that's how you feel, then you go find the land yourself, and I'm done with it. I say, no, granddaddy, that's how it went. He said, yeah, fuck that. You ain't going to come and talk to me like that about something I've been keeping up for over 50-something years. I said, yeah. So he said, but you know what? Clarence Jr. died. I said, now, Trav, I ain't paid the taxes. I don't know what happened to the land. He said, but all I know is Hoover had a daughter. I would assume it left to her now, but I don't know if she know where the land at, and I don't know if he ever found the land to know where the land at. So I realized something, man. Like you said, we talking about 40 acres and a mule. The ones of us that did have the 40 acres and a mule. We got so distorted in who our we is that we let them 40 acres and a mule fall through the fingers into the cracks and go back into the quicksand. So we talk about what we gonna get and what we gonna receive. We ain't regular enough to be regular enough to understand how to cultivate a piece of land to leave for our children, to have a legacy, or even understand the value of what it's worth. And this ain't really all about black people neither. I stay in a community that was made in look, my house was built in 1953, along with 101 houses in this here community. They had a community beach in the front. Middle-class white folk. Wasn't no black folk here. I'm talking about a prestigious white neighborhood in the middle of Jim Crow, the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. I bought the house from the original owner. But I'm saying this to say, in this 100 houses, there's still some of the white people that grew up here, that was born here. They 60, 70 years old now. And I talk to them as neighbors, and they tell me about how prestige and honorable this neighborhood was. But let me tell you something that's powerful that I understood, that the most fucked up houses in the neighborhood are the ones that was inherited, the ones that was given to them children from a generation that worked for this here shit. If the house looked fucked up, I promise you, it's somebody who was given the house in an inheritance, and they don't value the house like everybody else who've moved into the neighborhood with a prestige, goddamn conservative type of thing. They don't have that value because they ain't worked for it. So in the very same way, our grandparents and their siblings worked for land to have things in a time where they couldn't go out and be amongst anything about opportunity, inequality. They strived in a time when they realized that all they had was each other. And that was just being regular. And now we look outward for everything, and everything they work for. Man, we'll let that shit slip through the cracks in the fingers and lose it. So if we do get our 40 acres in the mule, what you gonna do with it? What you gonna do with it? You gonna be a regular black folk, like the original folks who posed to got it. They knew what they was gonna do with it. They was gonna live off of it. They was gonna raise their family on it. They was gonna use it to make a way and understand their position in nature and know how nature works and become one with it. That's what they was gonna do. So what you gonna do if we get it? You gonna be the aberration or you gonna be the order in the way? Alexa, what is the meaning of aberration?
Aberration is usually defined as the act of departing from the right, normal, or usual course. For more, ask me to give you more definitions for aberration.
The act of departing from the right, normal, or usual course. The right, normal, usual course, y'all, is love, respect, honor, dignity. Real life shit, man. Man, I'm talking about, man, you can get up in the morning and go to work. Listen to your favorite song in the car. Kiss those that really matter goodbye and say, I love you. Feel good. Breathe in the good morning fresh air. Walk into a building with somebody who ain't saw nobody. And somebody who ain't got no light in them. And they mad at some shit from last week, last month, last year. And they see you with your glow and your light. And everything you is reminds them of everything they ain't. And they gonna turn you right, turn you left, turn you out of order, turn you from being the regular natural you to being something that you ain't got intentions to be. That's the motherfucking aberration ass motherfucker. And if you don't understand how it works, it'll get worked on you. And if it get worked on you and you don't understand what's being worked on you and you become it, it's that vampirism, you become the aberration. Now you become an aberration for somebody else. The aberration shit can be contagious. So understand how it works and protect your peace. And stay in order. I love you, man. I'm gonna get out of here. Shout out to everybody that paid me some attention. Shout out to everybody that heard me today on Brother Javon. One thing about this, man, it ain't about being good, bad, right, or wrong. We all gonna go astray. We all gonna make bad choices. We all gonna find our self in places where we about to learn a lesson. But as long as you know how to get back on the right track, you all right, man. Ain't nobody above the bullshit. That's what make life worth living. If the line is truly straight and it ain't got no ups and downs, damn it, you dead. So it got to be some ups and downs to show that you living. And if the down is an aberration, then that's cool. That's a part of life. Just get back on track. And be able to look in that mirror and say, man, I have grown into a better me. I'm growing, baby. I'm better than who I used to be. I have grown into a better me. I'm growing, baby. I'm better than who I used to be. If you can say that, man, that's love. That's growth. If you can say you better than who you used to be. And I'm talking about yesterday, last year, or 10 years ago. If you know you better than who you used to be, I love you. Keep fighting the fight. Everything gonna be all right. Y'all hold me down to the ground.